On the night of my 30th birthday, surrounded by cake, family, and fake smiles, I opened what I thought was a gift only to find an eviction notice for the very house I'd poured my soul into restoring. That was the moment I realized my family wasn't celebrating me. They were betraying me, but they underestimated the wrong woman. What began as heartbreak turned into a battle for truth, legacy, and justice, and I wasn't leaving without a fight. The eviction notice felt like ice in my hands, its crisp edges cutting through the warmth of my birthday celebration. Just moments ago, I had been smiling surrounded by family, believing this would be my best birthday yet. I'm Vivian Harding, and this is how my 30th birthday became the day my family betrayed me. Open it, dear. We're all so excited for you to see what's inside, my mother had urged, her eyes twinkling. At the time, I thought it was a joy, but now I recognize it for what it was: anxiety. The envelope had seemed innocent enough. It was wrapped in silver paper with a delicate bow, the kind that usually holds a sentimental letter or a gift card. We were gathered in the living room of my childhood home, the same house I'd poured 5 years of sweat, tears, and every dollar I had into restoring. My cousin Sala perched on the armrest of the sofa, watching me with an unreadable expression. My brother Jay stood by the fireplace, hands deep in his pockets, eyes avoiding mine. Come on, Viv. We haven't got all day, Sala chirped. Her voice was syrupy sweet, too polished for a family gathering. She was dressed up, overdressed, really, for what should have been a casual birthday party. That should have been my first red flag. I tore open the envelope, the birthday cake still lingering sweetly on my tongue. But the taste soured as my eyes locked onto the bold, unforgiving letters inside. What is this? My voice cracked, barely above a whisper. Mom? Dad? My mother's face crumpled. Sweetheart, we've been trying to find the right time to tell. You, tell me what? I stood, the eviction paper trembling in my hands. That you're kicking me out of my own home. The one I've poured my heart, my savings, my life into. Sala cleared her throat. Vivian, be reasonable. The house was never officially yours. The deed is still in your parents' names. They've decided it's time for a change. A change? I spun toward her. What do you know about this? I'm just helping the family make the best financial decision, she said, smoothing her designer skirt. The market's hot right now. The market? My laugh was hollow, choked. This isn't an investment property. This is my home. My brother finally spoke up, voice low. Viv, maybe we should talk about this privately. No. I slammed the paper down on the coffee table, rattling the plates. I want answers. Now. Mom? Dad? Why are you doing this? My father wouldn't meet my eyes. There've been concerns about your ability to maintain the property. Sala showed us documentation, my mother added quietly. Noise complaints. Unauthorized construction. I felt like I was drowning. Documentation? That's a lie. I've done nothing but improve this house. New hardwood floors and restored Victorian details. I did all of it. With questionable contractors, Sala added. And the HOA complaints. That's false. My voice cracked. I turned to Paisley, my best friend, who stood frozen near the doorway. Pa, tell them. You've seen everything I've done. You know I had permits. Paisley stepped forward, her voice fierce. Everything Vivian has done was by the book. I've seen the permits myself. But my parents' expressions didn't change. My mother reached for my hand. Sweetie, you have 30 days. I jerked back. 30 days? On my birthday? The room spun. Sala stood straighter. We should all calm down. The decision's been made, Vivian. Fighting it will only make things harder. Looking at her carefully constructed mask of concern, something clicked. This wasn't about the house. It was planned, calculated. She was in on it. Maybe even leading it. Get out. I whispered. Vivian. My mother tried. Everyone. Get out. They left one by one. Only Paisley stayed. As the door shut behind the last betrayer, I collapsed onto the couch, the eviction notice smirking at me from the table. Paisley wrapped her arm around me. This isn't over. I wiped my eyes. She's always wanted this house, ever since we were kids, but I'm going to prove she's behind this. The next morning, I stared at my phone. 17 missed calls from Mom, and 5 from Jace. Nothing. From Salah. Of course not. You need to eat, Paisley said, placing toast in front of me. I pushed it away. I need to find out what Salah's been telling them. I dialed Mom and hit speaker. Vivian. Thank goodness. We've been worried. Save it. What exactly did Salah say about me? She showed us documentation. How complaints. Unauthorized work. That's impossible. I have every permit. Who complained? I don't know. Salah handled that. Of course she did. Did you verify any of it? Silence. She said you were struggling financially. Cutting corners. I want copies. All of it. Every document she showed you, Vivian. Please no. That house is my life. I'm not leaving without a fight. I hung up. Paisley squeezed my hand. That's the Viv I know. Now what? Now? We gather evidence. My phone buzzed. Jace, meet me at Carlos's in 30. Need to talk. 20 minutes later, I walked into Carlos's and slid across from him. You knew. I accused. I found out yesterday. Mom and Dad swore me to secrecy. Salah convinced them you were in trouble, and you believed her. No, but I overheard something. Last week, she was on the phone talking about property values and development opportunities. I froze. Development? He nodded. Her fiancé? Valentine? His family owns the new luxury condos downtown. The pieces started clicking. Our street is one of the last historic areas. My house is on the biggest lot. There's more, Jace said. She's been meeting with the City Planning Commission. So have Mom and Dad. They think they're protecting you from financial ruin. My phone buzzed. An email from Mom. Attached were scans of the documents Salah had provided. Look, I showed Jace. Wrong letterhead. Wrong permit numbers. She forged them. Keep your voice down. I don't care. This is proof she's lying. Then we need to act. But smartly. I nodded. She thinks she's won. But I'm going to fight back. My phone buzzed again. This time, from a contact we weren't expecting. Hey, I said to Paisley when I called her. Remember your friend at the city planning office? We need her help. Now. Amanda, Paisley's friend, from the city planning office, slid another file across her cluttered desk. Her cubicle was cramped, surrounded by overstuffed filing cabinets, humming electronics, and the aroma of stale coffee. These are the development proposals for your neighborhood from the last 6 months, she said, keeping her voice low. Including 3 from Valram Development Group, Valentine's company, I murmured, flipping through the paperwork. Then I stopped. My fingers trembled as I held up a set of blueprints with my address printed across the top. This is my house, I said, breathless. Paisley leaned over my shoulder. Look at the date, filed 2 months ago. 2 months? My heart pounded. Before the eviction notice. Before any of this. Amanda pointed to the bottom of the proposal. Look here, your parents' signatures authorizing the preliminary survey. I stumbled back a step. They've been planning this for months. This wasn't an impulsive decision. Viv, Paisley whispered, her grip on my arm tightening. Look at the notary stamp. My eyes fell to the stamp, and I nearly dropped the file. Marcus Quinn, Salah's father. Amanda leaned closer. I've got copies at my desk. I'll email them to you tonight. But be careful. There's talk about fast-tracking the permits. We left the building like shadows, hyper-aware of every camera, every creaking door. Let's talk to Valentine, Paisley suggested as we reached a car. Maybe he doesn't know. I shook my head. He has to know. His company filed these. But if he doesn't, it might crack everything wide open. Just then, my phone buzzed. Jace, get to Mom and Dad's. Now, he said. Salah's here with a contractor, talking about renovation plans. They're acting like they already own the place. I didn't wait for Paisley. I sped to my parents' house. Inside, Salah's voice floated from the kitchen. Raise the entire block's value. Modernize everything. I stormed in, over my dead body. They froze. Salah recovered first. Vivian, we were just discussing. You mean plotting the destruction of my home? I slapped the proposal onto the kitchen island. You were going to tear it down? That's a lie, Salah said, her voice syrupy. Really? I turned to the contractor. Did you know this proposal was filed months ago? He shifted uncomfortably. I should go. Stay, Salah commanded. You forged documents, I said. voice rising. You manipulated my parents, lied to the entire family, and you did it to sell my house for condos. That's enough, my father shouted. I shoved another file forward. Look at the dates, the signatures. You signed off on this, not knowing what you were approving. My mother picked up a page with shaking hands. These aren't what Salah showed us, because she forged them. Salah's mask finally cracked. You went through official records? I found everything. The false complaints, the fake permits, the backdoor deals. It's all there. My phone buzzed. An email from Amanda. I held it up. Want the proof? It's right here. You have no idea what you're doing, Salah hissed. No idea who you're dealing with. No, you don't, I replied. And I've just started. I turned to my parents. You've seen the truth. What are you going to do about it? I didn't wait for an answer. Outside, I called Paisley. Phase 1 complete. Now we go after Valentine. Valentine sat at an upscale cafe, smiling over a salad with his sister Leah. I approached her table, Paisley in tow. Mind if we join? I asked, sliding into a seat without waiting for an answer. Valentine blinked. Vivian, what are you doing here? Funny, I was just at the planning office. Got a look at your company's development plans. You know, the ones that include my house. Leah stiffened. Wait, your house? Yes, the Victorian. Filed 2 months ago, before I was evicted. Interesting timing, don't you think? Leah grabbed the documents. Her face paled. Val, you're replacing the entire block with condos? It's a business decision, he said. Strategic growth. Paisley leaned forward. It's also illegal. The documents were falsified. Complaints were forged. You're part of a criminal conspiracy. Valentine looked at his sister. She told me it was above board, that her family agreed. She lied. I stood. You can talk to the ethics board about it. They'll be reviewing everything. I left a business card on the table. That's my lawyer's number. Outside, Leah caught up with us. I want to help. Why should I trust you? I asked. Because she's been manipulating my brother for years. And because I have access to Valram's internal records. I studied her. What's in it for you? Justice. And watching her empire crumble. My phone buzzed, another threat from an unknown number. Back off or you'll regret it. Paisley read it. She's getting desperate. Good. Desperate people make mistakes. The next morning, I woke to a loud crash. I rushed downstairs. A brick lay among shattered glass. A note wrapped around it. Final warning. Jason. Paisley arrived minutes later. The police filed a report but offered no hope. We need to escalate, Jace said. And we will, I promised. Leah's evidence will blow this open. Later that day, we met our parents again. My mother wept as she reviewed the proof. We were such fools. They played you, I said gently. But we can still fix this. Just then, a text from Leah. Emergency. Meet me at the park. T Riverside Park. Leah paced. She knows I helped. She's threatening to expose something about my past. What? A mistake. It could ruin my career. Sometimes, I said, you have to lose everything to do what's right. She swallowed hard. Okay, let's take her down. The rehearsal dinner. She'll be vulnerable there. Everyone will be watching. My phone buzzed again. Hope you enjoyed the brick. Next time it won't be your window. Let her try, I said, steeling myself. Because in 3 days, this ends. The rehearsal dinner shimmered with opulence. The grand ballroom of the Sterling Hotel glowed under crystal chandeliers, tables decked with fresh roses and golden cutlery. Family members bustled in polished suits and gowns, all gathered to celebrate Salah and Valentine's upcoming nuptials. But for me, Vivian Harding, it wasn't a celebration. It was a battlefield. I sat flanked by Paisley and Jace, my heart thundering beneath the silk of my borrowed dress. My grandmother's locket was cool against my chest, grounding me. In my purse was the USB drive Sarah, my lawyer, had prepared, packed with every damning piece of evidence. Leah sat across the room, looking tense but determined. Salah glided into the room in white satin, all smiles. She was magnetic, regal, and completely corrupt. Valentine greeted investors, sharing updates on the neighborhood development plans, his charm undeterred by the secrets I now carried. Paisley leaned in. Are you ready? I nodded. Let's make history. Sarah arrived a few minutes later. slipping in unnoticed. I stood up. Salah's voice rang out, loud and commanding. Let's begin the toasts. I stepped forward. I'd like to go first. Whispers rippled across the crowd. Salah's smile faltered. Tonight, I began. We celebrate love, commitment, and the future. But in honor of those values, I believe it's only fair we share the truth. I nodded to Sarah, who handed out folders. These are documents pulled from city records, business filings, and emails between Valram Development and Salah Quinn. Gasps. Whispers. Salah stepped forward. Vivian, this isn't the time. I held up a printed email. Would you prefer I read aloud how you manipulated your own family into signing false paperwork so you could steal my home and demolish our entire block? Security, she shouted, but Leah was already at the exit. Nobody leaves. Valentin stepped closer, his face paling as he flipped through the documents. You said everything was above board. That Vivian agreed. She's lying. Salah hissed. This is all a fabrication. Sarah stepped beside me. These documents are verified. They include forged permits, notary fraud, and conspiracy to commit development fraud. We've already filed a case with the City Ethics Board and the police. This is ridiculous. Salah snapped. Then why did you threaten Vivian? I asked, pulling out my phone. Why did you throw a brick through my window? Murmurs surged. Jay stepped forward. She's been manipulating us for years. Even stole Grandma's jewelry and lied about it. Salah looked around for support, but faces were turning, eyes were narrowing. I thought we were just flipping a property, Valentin said, dropping the folder. But this is criminal, and you're complicit, Leah added. You filed the permits knowing they were falsified. Salah's father, red-faced, barked out. You don't have proof those stamps were mine. Actually, Sarah said smoothly. We do. Security footage, audio recordings, and signed testimony from Leah. A pin could have dropped. You think you've won? Salah spat. I built this empire. You think a few emails and some dirt from a jealous cousin can bring me down? No, I said, but the doc can. Right on cue, police officers entered the ballroom. Salah Quinn? She paled. You wouldn't. They would, I said. You forged legal documents. You threatened my life. And you tried to destroy the legacy of an entire neighborhood. The officers cuffed her. Valentin looked dazed. The wedding, there is no wedding, Leah said. Chaos erupted. Family members argued. Investors stormed out. And journalists on the guest list eagerly documented the unfolding scandal. Later, outside the hotel, Paisley hugged me tightly. You did it. Jace joined us. The house is safe. Mom and Dad just signed it over to you legally. Tears stung my eyes. It's over? Almost, Sarah said, stepping up. Salah's taking a plea. The DA's filing charges. And the city is reviewing every one of Valram's recent projects. My phone buzzed. A final text from Leah. Board vote passed. Valentin removed. I'm interim CEO. We're pivoting to historic preservation. For the first time in weeks, I could breathe. But the final chapter, restoration, healing, and reclaiming my home, was still ahead. The courthouse steps echoed beneath my heels as I descended with my attorney, Sarah. The plea deal was signed, sealed, and submitted. Salah had folded, admitting to forgery, conspiracy to defraud, and harassment in exchange for reduced jail time. My hands trembled as I clutched a finalized deed to my house, now officially and irrevocably in my name. Outside, Paisley waited with Jace and our parents. My mother's eyes glistened with tears. We're so proud of you, she whispered. Viv, Jace said, clapping a hand on my shoulder. You fought harder than anyone I've ever seen, and you won. I smiled. A weight lifted from my chest. Now comes the good part. The jasmine vines my grandmother planted decades ago bloomed again along the fence line, their scent wafting through the early morning air. The house, once covered in red X's and development threats, now wore a fresh coat of soft yellow paint and restored trim. New porch railings gleamed white under the sun. Jace and Valentin had done the work together, a strange duo, but somehow it worked. Yes, even Valentin had returned. After stepping down from Valram, he'd shown up on my doorstep, tools in hand. and an apology written on his face. I didn't know how far she'd gone, he said, but I want to help make things right. I let him, not because I'd forgiven him entirely, but because his sincerity was real, and redemption deserved space. Paisley organized a neighborhood celebration for my birthday. This time, it wasn't a betrayal bash, it was a rebirth. Neighbors filled the lawn with folding chairs, potluck dishes, and stories. Mrs. Rodriguez brought empanadas, Mr. Lin played his violin, and kids chased each other across the grass. In the center of it all was my grandmother's antique locket, now displayed on a table with her recipe cards, photos, and journals. I think she'd be proud, Mom said, placing her hand over mine. She would, I whispered, under fairy lights strung across the porch. Leah approached. Her role as interim CEO had been made permanent. She'd overhauled Valram's mission, establishing a historic protection initiative. Grants were now available to preserve, not destroy, homes like mine. I never thought we'd end up on the same side, I told her. She smiled. Sally taught us both what not to be. What happened to her? She's in a minimum security facility. 6 months. No phone privileges. But she finally confessed everything, including the threats, the break-in, the brick. She tried to justify it all, saying she wanted a legacy. She had one, I said, gazing at the house. She destroyed it herself, I testified at Sally's sentencing hearing. My voice didn't shake. My heart didn't falter. I spoke not for revenge, but for restoration. For every person manipulated, silenced, or betrayed by those they trusted. After the hearing, a woman approached me, young, anxious. You don't know me, she said. But Sala did something similar to my sister's family. She lost everything. Seeing you win, it gives me hope. That night, I wrote in my grandmother's journal, hope is a stronger foundation than stone. 6 months to the day of the eviction notice, the mayor herself arrived at my doorstep. She handed me a plaque, historic preservation champion, and announced the designation of our block as a protected district. Cheers erupted. Fireworks cracked in the distance. My parents held hands. Paisley cried. Jace danced with Mrs. Rodriguez and me. I stood on the porch, looking out at the glow of a neighborhood that refused to be erased. At the laughter, the life, the legacy. I love you, Valentine said softly behind me. I turned, heart steady, and I'm still learning to trust you. I'll wait, he replied. A year later, the house brimmed with joy. I opened a community design studio in the renovated attic, helping others protect and restore what mattered to them. Paisley managed it with me. Jace got engaged. Leah launched a nonprofit. Even Valentine led a new firm, this time rooted in ethics. Sally's name was a footnote now, a cautionary tale. But my story, it had just begun. And this time, every chapter would be written in truth, in strength, and above all, in love.